Hey there, howdy there. It's Andrew Fasikas, the Night Sky Guy. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me once again this week. Happy Labor Day to all my North American friends. I'm talking to you live from Montreal, Canada. It's Labor Day weekend, Monday, September 7th. Beginning of a new work week here, but of course, it's a holiday here for me. But I'm still here with you. I'm glad to see you. I have got the chat room open as usual, and I'm looking at all of you guys everywhere, sending good wishes, telling me where you're watching. I'd love to hear where you're watching from. Stephen from Sudbury, UK. Hello, Myrna. Nice of you to join us. Alexandra from Scotland. Cloudy skies? Don't worry. It'll get clear at one point. You will see some clear skies at one point, I'm sure. Hopefully this week with all the goodies I have for you guys in store. Lots of interesting things. Well, people from all over. Happy Labor Day, Kimberly, to you too in St. Louis. We've got someone from Finland as well. Rika from Finland. Welcome. I'm so happy you could join me. I hope you had some stargazing to do, some sky watching. Did you guys get to see that amazing Mars moon alignment? I thought that was absolutely just so beautiful to see those two objects, so brilliant objects coming together in the skies. I thought that was just fascinating to be able to see two worlds that are so vastly different, Mars and the moon. I mean, it was beautiful. So did you guys see it? I'd love to hear. I'm watching on chat. I've got it open. Do share with wherever you're from. Sam from Tunisia. Welcome, Tunisia. Do you have good skies in Tunisia, Sam? I'm wondering, I would think that you probably do have good skies. Here in Montreal, Canada, we've got right now mostly overcast skies. Did some sky watching last night, had some what I like to call sucker holes between the clouds and got to see some just on the outskirts of Montreal. It was pretty neat. But I'm hoping some clear skies this week. So why don't we dive right in what the sky has in store this week? So here we've got our skies set up. This is for Monday evening, September 7th. It is, as you can see, a beautiful view towards the south. Again, if you haven't been here before, oh my gosh, welcome. I'm here to share what the night sky has to offer. And this week, as it's been for the last few weeks, I really want all of you guys, to be able to see Jupiter and Saturn, because I think that is one of the most amazing double planets, so easy to find right now in our skies. Jupiter and Saturn just are dominating these two brilliant star-like planets. Now, when we're talking about planets and you're someone who's maybe new to stargazing, and you're looking at planets look very similar to stars. They actually look like very bright stars. You won't see them as disks with the naked eye. You actually have to have high magnification to begin to see them as disks. When you look at a planet through a telescope under high magnification, you will see them as a disk. So for instance, Jupiter and Saturn, if we zoom in, here you can see, you will begin to see them as this. So this is kind of a view that you would have if it was through a high magnification telescope, a backyard telescope. That's it, nothing fancy, but that's what you would see as a disk. So definitely they're not stars when you're looking at them as through a telescope. But if you're looking at them with the naked eye, well, with the naked eye, they look just like stars. And how do you know that they're planets? Well, you need to know where and when to look. That's why you're coming here to my show, obviously, I hope, is to know exactly what that bright light is in the sky that you're seeing in your backyard or on your morning walks. That, in this case, in the evening, just after darkness falls, you'll see Jupiter and Saturn very brilliant in the southern skies. They are a pair. So you're looking for a pair of very bright stars. Saturn is fainter than Jupiter, so it's a fainter star-like object than Jupiter's. Jupiter is really going to knock your eyes out. It's so bright. So that is a very distinct pair that you can see, and it's just been dominating now for weeks on end. So if you haven't had a chance, great time. Still, the two planets are just rearing there out in the southern skies, rearing for you to watch for sure. Now, what's really interesting this week, the moon is kind of out of the evening sky for the most part. And so it's a great time to do what we call deep sky stargazing. So if we want to dive into the Milky Way galaxy, go beyond the solar system, this is a really good week to be able to do that. And one of these amazing things that are worth a couple of amazing things that are really neat to see in the evening skies, if we turn our attention towards the eastern sky, and that's what I'm doing here, moving towards the east, where you can see down here, E for east. So looking towards the eastern sky after darkness falls, there's a beginning of a change that's occurring in our skies. In the northern hemisphere where I am, we're beginning to see the fall constellations start to rise higher and higher, earlier and earlier in the evening. So they're beginning to dominate definitely the eastern skies. So that's kind of really neat to be able to see again, because some of these are my old friends. If you're a stargazer and you're familiar with the sky, you start recognizing some of these patterns. And one of the most basic patterns of the fall sky that is so recognizable has got to be the Great Square of Pegasus. That's what this is right here. And it's marked out by these red lines, as you can see here. And this is called the Great Square because it's a square in shape, and it marks basically the chest of Pegasus, the mythological flying horse. That's what this particular group of stars, and it's something that you can see even within city limits. So, I mean, you don't have to be outside in a dark countryside to do stargazing. I mean, this is something you can recognize, the Great Square of Pegasus, within city limits. So if you're in a suburb of a large city, this is something you can see. Now, they're not going to be super bright stars. They'll be faint to the naked eye under light polluted skies. If you're out in the countryside where it's dark or you don't have much light pollution, the Great Square is quite obvious, something fairly easy to see. But if you're in suburbs, like most people are within city limits, most of us around the world do live around large cities. And I think a lot of us would be surprised to find out you could do some pretty good stargazing even within city limits with moderate light pollution. And in this case, the Great Square is a fainter group of stars, but they're fairly easy to see. And this area is really, you're starting to look beyond the solar system, even beyond the Milky Way galaxy that we live in. We can actually see outside of our Milky Way galaxy. So this, Teresa's asking a good question. Is this, let's see her question here. Is this the square low in the sky or is it higher up? Well, it'll depend on what time of the evening you're actually watching, Teresa. If you're watching earlier in the night, like in this case, I'm set it at around 8:30, 9 o'clock, this view in the east. So as soon as darkness starts to fall this time of the year, the Great Square will be rising in the east. And the later at night that you look out into the sky, say around midnight or later, the Great Square will be rising higher. You'll look for it much higher in the sky. Not quite overhead, but quite high in the east. But as we go into later September and October, the Great Square will rise earlier and earlier in the evening. So this is something that you should look out for. Try to find it this week. I'm going to put a star chart for this, as I do with all of these in my timeline on my Facebook page. If you're watching on YouTube, I will also have mention of that in the comment section, and on Twitch, I'll also have it available as well. So this is something you guys should try to see. And this marks the chest of the Pegasus flying horse. Now, what's interesting is that it's attached to another constellation. And this one's a fainter constellation, but it represents Andromeda. Andromeda, the princess, mythological princess. And she's attached to the last star in the Great Square of Pegasus. That's where the head of Andromeda is. And Princess Andromeda is attached to Pegasus here. And there's two lines of stars that move outward away from the Great Square. And those mark out the majority of what makes up the Andromeda constellation. Now, why am I talking about Andromeda? Well, there is something very cool in Andromeda. And if we zoom in, you'll see this giant oval. This oval marks what's called the Andromeda Galaxy. The Andromeda Galaxy is our closest neighboring large galaxy. It's similar, very similar to our own Milky Way galaxy. It's a spiral-shaped galaxy that's at a very steep angle from our vantage point, and it's something that you can actually see with the naked eye from a dark site. And it's absolutely right. You heard me right. You can see a galaxy other than the Milky Way with your naked eye if you have dark enough skies. With binoculars, it's a cinch. It's something very easy to see. And again, this is something that with binoculars, you can scan just left of this last star that marks a part of the Great Square of Pegasus. And this is something that'll become easier and better to see over the course of the next few months. It's a traditional fall, autumn object, deep sky object for sky watchers around the world. This is something that's really beautiful to see. Here you can mark it. It also has two satellite galaxies. So there are actually two little clumps of stars that orbit, clumps of millions that contain millions of stars themselves, but little clumps of stars that orbit the larger spiral galaxy. So if we look at what it looks like through a beautiful photograph, check this out. This is absolutely beautiful. You can see here marked out one of these beautiful photographs. Let's see if I can actually get that on the screen, if I can enlarge it. I'm not sure I can. Let me see here. Not so sure, but I think you can see it off on the side, that picture. That's basically what it looks like. It's a really beautiful object to see. If we zoom in, you'll see it like that. It's kind of spiral shaped, oblong in nature. Here we go. Through binoculars, you will see the central hub. Now, this is a photograph. What you're looking at is a photograph, a longer exposure photograph. So you see the entire spiral galaxy with the spiral arms out on the sides. And you see the two satellite galaxies. But what you will see through a pair of binoculars will be the bright core. Now, what's fascinating to think about here, guys, is that this galaxy contains somewhere between 500 billion to a trillion stars, somewhere in that range. It's enormous. It's kind of like the big brother of the Milky Way galaxy, and it's our nearest neighboring galaxy. And what you're looking at is the combined light of billions of these stars when you're looking at it through binoculars, the brightest stars. And how far away is Andromeda? We estimate that the distance is approximately 2.5, 2.6 million light years away. So when you're looking at Andromeda, with the naked eye, it'll look like a very little faint, super faint, fuzzy little patch in the sky. With binoculars, the patch of light will become very obvious. It's a larger fuzzy object in binoculars, and it's the central core, the downtown core of the Milky Way galaxy that you can actually see. But I mean, I think it's incredible to think about this, guys, is that when you're looking at it with the binoculars, and you point it out, you'll see that central downtown core, the combined light of billions of stars. You can't see the individual stars because you're looking at something that's so far away. But what's incredible is that the light from the combined light from all these stars takes 2.6 million years to reach your eye. Imagine those photons of light have traveled for 2.6 million years to reach your eye. Tonight when you're watching it. It's incredible to think about that. Just think about that when you're looking for Andromeda. So that's my big observing challenge out there for you. We'll talk more about Andromeda Galaxy, definitely. And of course, you'll see those those let me switch over to this view, and you can see those little satellite galaxies that are here. One's called M10 and the other one's called M32. They'll be off to either side of the central hub that's visible. Now remember, all of this other stuff that you're seeing in this is a photograph. You won't see all of that. Even with telescopes, it'll be difficult. You'll see it as a wider hub. You'll probably see a bit fainter of the objects, the halo of these stars farther out with a telescope. Yes, you will. You'll see more detail, maybe even hints of some of the dark rifts that separate the spiral arms. But these are really some interesting things that you can do with a backyard telescope. So let's look at some of the chat here, what people are saying. Enrique, Andromeda is heading our way. It will merge with the Milky Way, but not in our lifetime. Absolutely, Enrique. And that made news last week because astronomers were making a wonderful release of a study looking at some of the gas halo around not the Milky Way, sorry, the Andromeda Galaxy. And that halo that they were mapping, what they realized is gas that is being released from exploding stars, like supernova stars, within the Andromeda Galaxy. And what they've noticed is that a lot of these gases, they wander out and kind of form a bubble around the Andromeda Galaxy. And that bubble stretches out to almost 1.5 million light years out. So that's actually towards us. And while astronomers can't really map these hot gases yet of what is occurring in our own Milky Way galaxy, we think that we are producing the same type of hot gases from the exploding stars, and that these gas envelopes of our two galaxies are probably or have already started merging. And we've been clocking the movement of Andromeda Galaxy, of this galaxy, and it seems that it's heading towards us. There's actually there's a collision in the future between our two galaxies. So imagine this. So we've got these two galaxies, the Milky Way galaxy, which we think is probably also holds 400 to 600 billion stars, are moving towards this other galaxy that has almost 1 trillion stars. And we think the two will collide. When will that collision happen? All right, mark this down on your calendar, guys. Right? Got your calendar out? About 4 to 6 billion years from now. Phew. So I don't think we need to worry about that. It's good to know. What will the Earth be like that? Will there be humans here? I mean, we know that the life cycle of our sun is a dwarf yellow star. It is lifetime of our sun is probably measured around 10, 12 billion years. We're about halfway through the life of our sun. So we have about another 4 or 5 billion years to go. So when this collision between our Milky Way galaxy, where we're within our Milky Way galaxy, and the Andromeda Galaxy happens, when our two galaxies do collide, Earth might or might not be here already. Our sun may have already become a red giant, may have swallowed our planet. We don't know. Maybe, hopefully, the descendants of humans will have escaped from Earth by then and maybe traveled to another star system, to another planet out there that's similar to Earth. We're finding lots of planets around other stars. We've cataloged over 3,000 planets beyond our solar system. So yes, indeed, we may be able to one day, look out and see the Andromeda Galaxy come close to us. But where will we be? We don't know. But if we're on Earth, and if Earth still exists, the Andromeda Galaxy will be the largest object in the sky visible. It'll probably take over most of the night sky at that point. But again, this is 4 to 5, 6 billion years from now in the future when we collide. Our two galaxies merge. Something really interesting, I think. So that's all happening. So the Andromeda Galaxy, just to recap, is just off the side. You start your journey with the Great Square of Pegasus in the east, and you travel along these, take your binoculars and sweep to the left of it. You'll see this trailing of stars that are forming a line, in a jagged line, and just above the The third star from the corner is where the Andromeda Galaxy is. And it's not a hard object to actually see. Now, there'll be more deep sky objects I want to talk about in the coming weeks and months. This is one of them. I'll revisit. We'll talk more about the Andromeda and many, many other things, because the fall sky is like filled, jam-packed with what we call deep sky objects, objects beyond the solar system. So a lot of really cool things. Now I want to turn our attention to the morning sky. Now, when we look at the morning sky, there's a lot of really interesting things there too. Let me just move on ahead. I'm going to zoom out, move hour by hour. And what you'll notice in the morning skies is the moon is really, after midnight, it really starts to kick in, the moon. And I'm going to change the date to later this week. There we go. Let's see. This should be Thursday. And what you'll notice is the moon, this is around 1 o'clock in local time. So wherever you're watching, around 1 o'clock local time in the morning, that's when the moon will be higher up in the sky, and it'll be pointing to two really beautiful sets of objects. Again, deep sky objects that the moon is pointing to. And the moon will be a quarter phase. It'll be a quarter moon, meaning half of the disk of the moon that's visible to us here on Earth will be lit up. So this is going to be absolutely beautiful because it'll be paired with a very bright star. Again, what we're looking at is Thursday, September 10th. So we're looking at September 10th, and the moon will be very close to a star called Aldebaran. If I can show it clearly here, right here, if I'll zoom in. So you have the moon, and then you have Aldebaran. The brightest star, this is the lead star in the constellation Taurus the Bull. Some of you I know are the sign of Taurus. Well, this is your constellation. Taurus is visible in the early morning sky. So you are talking about after midnight into the pre-dawn hours before the sun comes up. This is what you're going to be seeing in the east. Now, traditionally, Taurus is visible in the evening sky, late fall into winter time. That's when we see it in our evening skies. But this time of the year, it's still something that's visible late in the overnight period in the pre-dawn skies. And what's very cool is that the moon will be beside this orange-red star called Aldebaran, which is the red eye of the bull, Taurus the bull. And it's just a beautiful sight to see the two objects, Aldebaran and the moon, fairly close together. And Aldebaran is really cool because it marks one of the sides of this V-shaped group of stars. See this V-shaped group of stars that I have? I'm going to zoom in some more. You can see these yellow stars that are mostly here, and Aldebaran marks one of the edge. This star that's in the form of a V, very easily visible to the naked eye. And these stars are what are called the Hyades Cluster. They're known as the Hyades Cluster. And the Hyades Cluster is something that's really very cool to see. Again, this is something that you can see with the naked eye. You can see with binoculars, very beautiful with binoculars. And the moon is going to guide you. You can see the moon right here, and it will guide you to the Hyades Cluster. And now what's cool is that the Hyades Cluster, this group of 7 stars in the form of a V, marking the face of the bull. You could see here the face of the mythological character, Taurus the bull, is about, these group of 7 stars are about 150 light years away. Now, what's interesting, of course, is Aldebaran does not belong to this group of stars. And Aldebaran is 66 light years away, so it's closer. While these group of 7 stars are about 150 light years away. And they were born together from the same star cloud. And they're slowly wandering away from each other. That's what these 7 stars represent. So it's really cool to be able to see that up close with the naked eye. It's something very easy to do. And take a look at the moon. And if you're up and watching this, of course, the moon, fantastic to see. It's a quarter moon. You can see all close up. If you have binoculars, you can see the moon very easily. You begin to see the dark and light features. The Marias are the dark. They're lava plains. The highlands are where there's a lot of craters and mountains. Beautiful areas to see as well. So highly recommend it. You've got all kinds of beautiful craters that are visible, some bright, some dark. Hours of that you can spend. Now, I'll be doing a separate show probably on looking at the moon and looking at the craters of the moon, some of the main topics, subjects that you can explore with the moon on a separate thing, because that's a whole other ballgame, being able to see some of these craterings on the moon. One of them that I just wanted to quickly show is Copernicus. Copernicus is a large crater. It's about 93 kilometers across. I've marked it off here. You can see it. And something that's visible this week. So this is something on Thursday. Friday is when is best to see Copernicus. And just look at that. That crater is just 93 kilometers across. It's huge. It's the size of a large city. And if I zoom out, and this is something that you should see with binoculars and with a small telescope, look at those rays. See those rays coming out? There's lines coming out. I'm marking them off with my mouse here. Those rays, that's basically the splash over effect from when the crater formed. So there was this giant rock, we think about 1 billion years ago, that smashed into the moon. And this is a young crater. Why? Because most of the craters on the moon we think occurred much long ago, billions of years ago, earlier in the history of the solar system. But this is a fairly new one, only 1 billion years old. And when that rock smashed in to the moon, it released so much of the material that was underground that material flew up into space and then came splashing back down around it. And that's what those are. Those are the splash marks, these rays of the material that was inside the moon that is now splashed on top of the moon. It's all splattered around there. That's what that white markings are around, that are in the formation of a ray around the Copernicus crater. And here, this is what it looks like close up through satellite photography and through what you would see with high power telescope. You can see that, and you can see there's a ridge around the edge, a mountain range around Copernicus. Again, it's about 93 kilometers across. Just a beautiful sight. You can spend hours just looking at the moon, but that's something that's fairly easy to see. And even with binoculars, you will be able to see that feature of the moon. So again, when are we talking about? We're talking about after midnight, Thursday, Friday. Something really, really cool to see in the sky late at night. And of course, let's not forget, also high in the south, late at night, will be Mars. Mars is fantastic right now. We're heading towards opposition, meaning Mars and Earth will be at its closest point together, closest distance between our two planets. It will happen in mid-October, so just a little over a month from now. So it will be the biggest and brightest Mars will be in our skies. And so right now is an amazing time to look at Mars through a telescope. If you can look at it through a telescope, you'll see a number of features on there. Primarily, the first feature that will be visible will be the south pole of Mars. That's that little white cap that you see at the bottom. Through a backyard telescope, you'll get a view that's probably similar to something like this. It'll be small, but a disk, but you'll be able to see dark and light markings. The dark markings are the windswept highlands, where there's a lot of craters and mountains and ridges, while the light colors are basically the sand dunes of Mars. And you can clearly see the orange color of Mars. Just fascinating. I mean, if you saw it this weekend, the moon was right next to it. Now the moon has moved away, and you can see Mars very bright, as a bright orange star. Remember, that color of Mars is imparted by the iron oxide-rich soil, the sand and dust that fills the entire surface of this red planet. That's why we call it the red planet. And just think of the fact that Mars is so far away, about 71 million kilometers away, that it takes light just about 4 minutes to reach your eye. when you're looking at Mars. So it's a travel time for at the speed of light is 300,000 kilometers per second. Imagine that, 300,000 kilometers per second. And it takes about 4 minutes for that light to reach your eye from the red planet. And that's something you can see with the naked eye. You don't need anything anymore, any other than that. Of course, if you want to see the details like the polar caps of Mars and some of the basic big surface features like the Hellas Basin or Citrus Major, these features, well-known features of Mars, you need a small telescope to see that. But with the naked eye, you can see the color. It's there. It looks like a super bright star, and it's up, visible late at night into the early mornings for the next few months. This is going to be a big story in skywatching, and I love for you guys to be able to watch that as well. So check that out. Checking our chat room one more time, watching from Argentina, Graciela, wonderful for you to join us. Who else do we have? We have Kale. Today is National Beer Day, and a crater is named Beers on the Moon. I did not know that. That's cool. That's very cool. I like that. What does Amanda have to say? He says, my Nikon or a really good digital camera, you can see them really well and defined. Definitely. Astrophotography is so popular now and is within the reach of so many of us. Even smartphone photography is something that's visible. You can go out and take photographs. And I've been watching your Moon and Mars photographs from this past weekend. Fantastic stuff. Thank you so much for sharing. Keep sharing it. Love seeing that. And I think everyone in the community it loves to see it as well. So thank you so much. I'm going to be looking through the chat room right now. Thank you very much for joining me. Again, I'm hoping that we've got plenty to see, right? We've got that Andromeda Galaxy. We've got the Great Square of Pegasus in the evening sky, looking in the east. Check those 4 stars. I want to know if you can see it. Please do share it with me, your reports. I'd love to see it. And of course, look out for the moon with the Copernicus crater. Another observing challenge for you guys. See if you can photograph it. That'd be interesting. I wonder if you can through binoculars, maybe setting up your binoculars with a smartphone might be interesting to do that as well. So be able to see the Andromeda Galaxy at 2.6 million light years away. See if you can find it with your naked eye. I'm going to have sky charts for all of this posted on my Facebook page. If you're watching on Facebook, please do follow my page. Please do share with your friends and family. If you like this video, do follow my page. Give it a big thumbs up. I appreciate that. And if you're on YouTube, follow my channel. Do subscribe. If you like this video, there's a lot. Every week I'm here on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube, sharing all the wonders of the night sky with all of you, my stargazing friends. I hope you all stay safe and healthy this week. Stay tuned. I'll have other impromptu sky watching videos and lots of posts of the latest news in space coming up for you all this week. So until next time, I wish all of you guys clear skies. Bye-bye.